Well, good evening or afternoon or morning, as the case may be, depending on if you are watching this live. This is PJNet More Senate #rally, and we are going to take a look at some of the propaganda that is being promulgated in the great state of Alabama. And we have on board with us our political analyst, American Refugee. American Refugee, it's time to take a look at some propaganda. You ready to go?
I'm ready to go, Mark. How are you?
Man, we're doing great. We are looking at the opening frame of one of the commercials that is part of that $2.5 million being poured out, and it's about the so-called incumbent, Luther Strange. It says here, when Obama...
And that's coming, Mark, if I'm not mistaken, from the Republican Senatorial Committee.
They made some kind of announcement to that effect. It's basically, my take is this is outside money. I doubt that this is coming from the state of Alabama, but it says here in this opening frame, when Obama took aim at Alabama. Let's just play the whole thing in its entirety, and then we'll pick it apart frame by frame.
Okay.
Okay, that is the 19 seconds worth, and it says here that when Obama took aim at Alabama, and we'll look at this frame by frame, it then transitions. It says the white knight in shining armor shows up, and of course the white knight being, guess who? Luther Strange. Let me just kind of move this scrubber across. And here we come. It says Luther Strange took aim. Boy, that's a wicked looking firearm he's got there. But let's move to the shot where he's actually decimating. Here we go. He is okay. Here he is, folks. That's a mean looking guy, and that's a scary looking weapon there, isn't it?
It's a big gun.
I don't know. Are you much of an outdoorsman?
A little bit. I am, Mark.
Okay. I not as much as I once was. I was once a very avid outdoor enthusiast, and found myself out in the woods with a bunch of guys. And if a guy showed up at camp dressed in this that's a nice Oxford shirt he's wearing there, isn't it?
Yeah, he looks more like he's ready to go to court than be out in the wilderness, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, if we were camped out and someone walked up to camp looking like that, and I would
assume they were some sort of federal agent there to bust me.
Well, that's a possibility. I would assume they were lost, and I would give them directions. I'll say, look, if you'll go up here to the road, hang a right, and when it comes to the next stop sign, turn left. That would be north. Keep going about 1,500, 2,000 miles, and you'll be in the state of Massachusetts. And by then you'll be more familiar with your surroundings. But most of the people that I would encounter, they would be wearing camo, and it'd have some tears in it, and there'd be a story, of course, behind the tear, and some blood stains and things like that. But that's a pretty nice shirt if you're going to court or something like that. But I don't see many people in the woods dressed that way. And he's he claims he's a strong defender of the Second Amendment. Are silencers legal in every state?
They're not.
They're not. Okay. But he's got his safety glasses on there, and I guess that's, good safety practice. If you're going to be firing a weapon. But I never went hunting with them. I never saw anybody around the hunting camp wearing safety glasses like that. But if at a firing range, you probably would see such a thing. And now he doesn't. Usually, when you have ear protection, with the eye protection, they're colored bright orange and they're foam, and that way you can tell if somebody has their ear protection in place. But he doesn't seem to have any ear protection on here. But after all, the gun is silenced, right?
Correct.
Well, is it? So here he's taking aim, and here comes Obama's amnesty plan. Now, Luther Strange was appointed to the vacated seat of Congressman Jeff Sessions because Jeff Sessions was brought into the Trump administration. So he became a senator while President Trump was there, but he's taking aim at Obama's amnesty plan somehow. And let's see here. Here it comes. I'm just going frame by frame across the picture, and the weapon is about to be discharged. Now, I want you to notice where the position of that gun is. The muzzle is positioned, if you look at his shirt there, and if you look at the distance between his safety glasses and the rear iron sight, it becomes very apparent that, let me just kind of move this thing forward in time. Okay, there's the wicked muzzle blast. And of course, the accompanying loud sound from the silenced weapon. Okay. Now, notice his facial.
He didn't blink, man.
He didn't blink. His lips haven't moved. Now his hands.
This is a tough man. This is a man that doesn't even blink when he fires a weapon.
He must be. He is like granite, fearless. Now, by the way, if you get any instructions.
Wait. Isn't he one of these great big guys, kind of like Comey? One of these big, tall.
Right. They call him Big Luther Strange. I think he's 6'9".
6'9". Yeah, Comey's like 6'8", but is afraid to be alone with Trump. Right.
But, I would expect a man that is 6'9" would have much larger hands than that. And you know what they say about people with
oh hands? Yeah, the hands are Trump-like.
Yeah, the
hands are big.
So now he's fired the shot, and we're going to advance the frame. Now the shot's already been fired, but we still see some muzzle blast after the shot has been fired. But when he finishes his aim,
it's slow traveling muzzle blast.
Very, very slow. Yeah, and now he's positioning himself to take his next shot. But notice that the weapon is in the exact same position as it was before taking the shot. Amazing.
So is his eyebrow.
And everything. It is exactly where it was. In other words, folks, this whole thing has been photoshopped. No shot was ever fired. And if we take another look, he'll take the second shot. Here comes. He's going to shoot down the attack on religious liberties. And here comes a muzzle blast any second now. We'll scrub. There we go. Boy, that looks almost like the same muzzle blast and recoil from the previous shot, doesn't it? And we're gonna. And there's that mysterious.
But I tell you what, the gun recoils. The gun it kind of pops up pretty good actually, but his face sure doesn't move, and it returns to the same position, and then it still has the blast going.
Yeah, still got that muzzle blast long after the weapon has been discharged. And he's going to take his third and final shot here. And I think we're going to see a recurring pattern here. We're going to see a muzzle blast coming here. Oh, yep. Boy, that picture looks familiar. That looks like the first two shots, doesn't it?
Sure does.
And boy, it just... Man, that one. Oh, now we're going to move to another frame. Now he's got his ear protection on because, after all, you can't silence a shotgun.
No.
That is a scary-looking shotgun.
Got a scope up on it, too.
Yeah. But now this particular shotgun is a very short-barreled weapon. Short-barreled weapons like this are typically used by the police department for riot control. And it's a high capacity magazine. I think you can get no less than 5. I think you can actually get 6 in the magazine plus 1 in the chamber. That would be 7 rounds out of this thing. Not familiar with this particular weapon, but so the longer the barrel, the tighter the pattern. So a short barreled gun by design would be implicitly inaccurate. So you put a scope on it.
It's a very odd weapon. That's the first thing I noticed was the scope on that weapon. That's not a long gun accurate rifle. it's a very strange looking thing to have a scope on.
Well, and all the time I have spent in my years of being out in the woods with outdoorsmen and avid hunters, none of us ever had a scope out there shooting ducks. Now we did have, normally we just use the iron sights on the barrel, but sometimes you would get somebody would have what's called a peep sight. A peep sight is just a round circular ring. And basically you put that ring around the target because your eye will naturally, your muscles will naturally follow your eye. And that would help. That's called a peep sight. But that's not a scope. That's just a piece, like a ring on your finger, you know. But this thing has a scope. Now, I did some research, actually, in fairness. Obviously, I thought perhaps the scope had been photoshopped in. But actually, I did some recon and found out that there are certain occasions that a scope might be useful on a shotgun. And they had like 5 points. I'm just working from memory here, but one reason you would put a scope on a shotgun would be if you're hunting at the pre-dawn or post-sunset hours, you would need a way to acquire your target. So you would need the benefit of the magnification and the light amplification of the scope. But this is a one-to-one scope. This you see the lens isn't flared at the end, so we're not magnifying, we're not amplifying the light. And based on the looks of the thing, there's no need for light amplification in this particular environment. So the scope, I think, is there just to make the gun look more, I don't know, scary.
You remember when Michael Dukakis, I don't know if you remember this, but he did this ridiculous duck hunting ad with like, brand new pressed camos. And it was
just got them back from the dry cleaners.
Well, one thing a politician shouldn't be is phony. He should be who he is. You know, to his credit, I'm not the biggest Donald Trump fan in the world. I do support the man while he's our president, and I praise him when he's correct, and I criticize him when he's wrong, and I was a Ted Cruz supporter. But when he went to Iowa, you know, he didn't put on a stupid flannel shirt and some jeans and some shit kickers. He went in the same suit he always wears. He was himself, at least. Okay. You know?
Well, when you said Michael Dukakis, I think there's that iconic image of him standing in that tank.
Oh, yeah, there's another one. Yeah. There were just these certain images of him that were just totally, completely phony. He also went down and he tried to shoot an ad. I think it was in Tennessee, and the thing looked like a set off a hee-haw. Okay. And people were really offended by it. He had, and this is kind of what this stuff reminds me of.
Well, and it's funny because I don't know the man, but he's from Alabama. I mean, couldn't he have gotten some real genuine footage of him and his buddies in their camo, or shooting skeet maybe? I mean, it's the summertime. It's not the outdoor season. But
right.
but he's probably, my guess is that he's in Washington, D.C., and his Slick advertising agency is on Madison Avenue in New York City. And I think this ad looks more New York City than it does Alabama.
It does to me as well.
I mean, yes. I think they did the best they could with
it's a New York City version of trying to make an Alabama commercial.
Right. There you go. Exactly. And it's just interesting to see the links that they will go to. And by the way, a lot of money was spent. That photoshopping work to make it look like he's discharging that weapon. That's very professionally done. But when you put it inside of some video editing software, it becomes pretty apparent that it's phony and it's trying to create an impression. The impression I get is, he's just not one of us.
No, he's not. He's not. And from what I've researched about the man, this, in a way, that's the one thing that is truthful about this ad, is that he ain't one of us, Mark. This is not a grassroots conservative guy.
Yeah.
This is not a guy that has been there on our issues across the board. And this is a guy that would get up to the Senate and basically do what Mitch McConnell told him to do.
Well, the problem here is that, if you portray yourself this way, the assumption, here's, I guess, the offensive part of it. The assumption is that we, us normal folks, are just not smart enough to catch on to the photography tricks. And in that sense, it's a little bit insulting to the people of Alabama, most of which are probably outdoorsmen, and I think they know better. And I guess we will find out. Election day is right around the corner. But Refugee, thank you for your keen political analysis as always, and it's always a good day when we have American Refugee on set here.